Hello and welcome to Politics, Prose, and Pop Culture. I'm ReShonda Tate Billingsley.
And I'm Victoria Christopher Murray. And ReShonda, we have the day off just a little bit, so people might be confused, right?
Yes, we're normally bringing politics, prose, and pop culture to you on Tuesdays, but we brought it to you today because we were in the Big Apple yesterday. We were originally going to talk about masks, and then this whole thing with Trump broke.
I know, yes, because we want to talk about masks because New York was where it broke, but New York is where COVID broke, but New York is really getting it under control, aren't they?
They really are.
So, but we had to move on from masks and what we should do with COVID. I think we've all figured it out, and we need to talk about Donald Trump and the grand jury that has just been convened for the Trump organization. So everybody's probably wondering what that is, right?
Right. And before we get into it, I do want to tell people that just put us a question in your Facebook chat, and we'll see if we can answer your questions. But that's what we're here for, to educate you on what this means. I know a lot of people are like, okay, Donald Trump is being indicted. Good. But there has some other meanings behind it. And that's what we want to talk about.
Yeah. And then one thing before we get into that, ReShonda, I want people to know that because we're going to talk about voting rights being under attack. The people who are attacking our voting rights are paying attention right now and doing it right now. And so that's why you and I are going to come back regularly to really get people educated, because we need to be paying attention right now. But first, so what does it mean at all to have a grand jury convened for the Trump organization and Donald Trump? So a lot of people think that means he's about to go to jail, right?
Not at all.
Not at all.
This is a 6-month process.
Yes, well, they set it up for 6 months, which is really unusual the way the grand jury did it. Usually the grand jury are people who are already in place, so that they're still jurors, but they're already in place, and they listen to a number of cases. And they are the people that decide, is there enough evidence here for a case to be made? Should there be an indictment? And so people have probably heard that statement, you can indict a ham sandwich if you give the evidence to a grand jury. But a lot of prosecutors don't want to go to court unless they have an indictment from the grand jury, because now they know how their evidence will seem. One of the things that this does tell us, though, is that it's moved from a civil case to a criminal case. So they think they have something on someone. But here's the thing, ReShonda, we don't know if it's on Trump or if it's on Weisselberg, who is the head of his organization financially, or if it's kids.
Yeah. And so one of the things, though, we do know is they wouldn't move forward if they didn't have something on someone.
They exactly. Now, this still does not mean there will be an indictment. An indictment then means that they would have to go to court. It just means that the prosecutors are saying, okay, let's see what's up here. Let me show you all the information I have, and let's see if we can get an indictment.
And so now what happens from here, Victoria? A lot of people will question. They turn it over to the grand jury. They examine the evidence and they make a decision, but that's a 6-month process, like we said.
Yeah, well, what's going to happen is usually they only meet once a week on a certain case. They will be meeting 3 times a week for 6 months on this case, which I'm not an attorney. I just play one on politics, prose, and pop culture. And then the sun is behind me, so sorry about that. But I do know that must mean that they have a lot of evidence, and it may be complicated. So they're going to take them through it slowly. I think the evidence mostly is what Michael Cohen said, because, they've been interviewing him and a lot of other of Trump's ex-friends. And Michael Cohen said that what Donald Trump would do is he would lie. Surprise, surprise. But he would value his property high when he was trying to get a loan or something. And that's illegal. You can't lie on loan papers. You know that. If you've ever gotten a mortgage or anything, you're not allowed to lie. So he would have the value high for those kinds of purposes, and then low for taxes. So you cannot have your property valued at 7 million in the morning and then 28 million in the afternoon.
Unless you're Donald Trump and think you got it like that.
And you think you could do that because he has been getting away with the law. So that is what I think the case is for, and that's a crime. People have gone to jail for that. They're putting a lot of pressure on his main man, but we'll see what happens. So the one thing that I like about this is that he's sweating at night, because this is different than all the other things. This is the first time when there could be criminal charges. We just don't know if it's him, because Donald Trump didn't put anything in writing. He doesn't have an email account. He didn't send very many texts because he wanted other people to take the fall for him.
And this is different because you can't control. He can't call up the governor, the Republican governor, to try and control the outcome, which is what he's used to. He can have DeSantis delay an extradition, but all he could do is delay it. He can't.
Yeah, he'll delay it for a day or two. It wouldn't be. And that's it. And that's if it's Trump. I have a lot of doubts that it's him.
Yeah.
Because he never put anything in writing. He just wouldn't. He would turn in. And you and I heard something where, I don't know if you heard it, but Michael Cohen told Joy Reid he'd turn in Melania. He'd say, "Don't take me."
I was about to say, he will say Eric Trump, who I don't know him, I barely know him.
Yeah, he's like, "Don't take me, take Barron." You know, he was over there. He's 17 now. He surely did something wrong. So we'll see what happens, but it's enough to make him sweat. But why we should be concerned is that I never thought Donald Trump was going to run for office in 2024, because I thought, number one, he knew he had lost, and he was just lying, and he would not want to lose again. But what's happening now is that every single state is setting up voter suppression laws, which is where we're paying attention. Where we're not paying attention is they're also setting up the state legislatures to be the ones to go in to Fulton County in Atlanta and say, these Black votes don't count. Or to go into Detroit and say, these Black votes don't count. Or to go into Houston and say, we will not allow you to have drive-through voting because the Black people were using that.
And that's what we really need to be paying attention to. Voting rights are under assault. And I don't know if people are just blowing it off because the election is not until 2022 and the presidential election not until 2024. Number one, we need to be concerned about those 2022 elections. But the attack on our voting rights is real. You see the things they're doing here in Texas is just ridiculous across the board.
You told me some of the things, because some of the things that they're doing is not just about voting rights. They're trying to change everything, ReShonda, right? In Texas?
Right. Our governor here is just on one, for real. He has done everything from, I don't know if people heard, as of last night, they snuck through passing a bill that if you don't play the Star Spangled Banner at a sporting event, you can't get any funding from the state. So they're essentially saying, if you don't play this Star Spangled Banner, then no money from us. And when the people try to argue, well, that's a violation of free speech, they're saying, well, no, it's not, because you don't have to take our money. And it's enough Republicans on the legislature to make it pass.
Yeah,
and that kind of stuff all the way around here in Texas.
The thing that's so sad is that the Democrats have allowed the midterm elections to go for so long, that because we think the presidential seat is the most important one, and it's not. And we talked about this a little bit last week. If the Republicans had the House this year or in 2020, they would have taken the election away from Joe Biden and given it to Donald Trump. And people keep saying that can't happen, that can't happen. Yes, they would have just said, we're not certifying it, so Trump would just stay in office. And so it's just very sad to me, because next year we have an election of the House. All 435 seats are up. Because of the census, the Republicans have 5 more seats. They added 5. We added 1. And it's enough for them to take over. But we have got to win it. The challenge is the first step is we have to win it. And the second step is we cannot allow them to then go into Atlanta and take the votes away from Reverend Warnock. We can't allow that. So it's a two-step process, and they're very focused now, and we need to get focused now.
So I continue to say, the Republicans play chess, we play checkers. And we have got to be strategic about all of this. They even down to how they pack the state legislature. Well, the state legislature is then the one that's turned around and makes the rules that there will be no 24-hour voting. Everything that our Chris Hollins, who came up with the 24-hour voting,
amazing,
all of that. He is an amazing, amazing person. Everything he did,
young black man
from Morehouse, everything he did, they're wiping it out. And so they're able to do that because we gave them power by not showing up to the polls.
And you know what's so crazy about what's happening in Texas? Trump won.
Yeah.
That's like in Florida, Trump won. That's like in Iowa, Trump won. But in Iowa, they are closing the polls at 4 p.m. So because they know that there are working people who will not be able to get off to have that done.
What we should let this do is be fuel to our fire, to basically say, okay, we're going to show you. You're going to try and prevent us from voting. We're going to turn out twice as many in droves.
We're going to make sure we're out. We're going to make sure we're out there. And that's what we're going to have to do. So are there any questions or no questions tonight?
No, we don't have any questions, but I think one of the problems that we have, Victoria, and everyone that's watching, we were really hoping the reason we're continuing this is because people kind of disconnect from politics because it's not really election season. And we're staying here to try and keep you educated in the off season because this is when they're laying the foundation to be strategic.
And we have to do that. ReShonda, you said that they play chess while we play checkers. Not only do they play chess all day long. We play checkers from 11 to midnight. Because we come in at the last minute and we're like, oh, what happened? What happened? So we really need to get on top of this.
Yeah, so
we can.
We had someone, Kelsey Landry, said those voter suppression laws are what we need to pay attention to. I couldn't agree more. We really do, because those things are sliding in. They're sliding them in, and we're not paying attention. We don't see that it's happening.
What can we do about it? There is a Voting Rights Act on the Senate floor right now. The challenge is we don't have enough votes because we need 60 votes unless we get rid of the filibuster. Maybe next week I need to explain the whole filibuster thing, ReShonda, because I can't do it in 2 minutes. But we need to get rid of the filibuster. And we have 2 Democratic senators, Joe Manchin from West Virginia, and Kristen, I'm really so surprised at Kristen Sinema from Arizona, who say that they don't want to get rid of the filibuster. Now, last year I didn't want to either, because the filibuster is the thing that makes the Senate different from the House. In the House, you just need a simple majority. In the Senate, you need 60 votes. And the reason they do that is so that the minority still has a vote. They still will have something to say. But the filibuster is not part of the Constitution. The filibuster was put in to stop voting rights and civil rights acts from being done.
Yeah.
And the longest filibuster is a man I'm going to write about in a couple of years. You know that, Strom Thurmond, but that'll be a whole nother story. And the longest filibuster in the history of filibusters. So it's not part of the Constitution. It doesn't have to be done. And we need to get rid of it. The challenge is, if we get rid of it so that we can pass voting rights, so that we can pass infrastructure, so that we can pass everything, if the Republicans win the presidency, they can come in and they can get rid of anything that we want.
Yeah, see, I am past the diplomatic approach, the whole Barack Obama, let's extend olive branches and let's get gangster. That's what Trump did. That's what the Republicans did. We need to get gangster. Like the Chicago mayor right now. I don't follow her.
Tell me a story about the Chicago mayor, ReShonda.
the Chicago Mayor Lightfoot has basically said that she's only doing interviews with African American and Hispanic journalists of color. Now she's catching some flack behind it because she's on her 2-year anniversary, and she said, "I'm not speaking to press of the any other race."
The reason why she's not just being racist.
She's not at all. And a lot of people are saying that it's a racist move. But the problem is that she's doing it because there are not enough people of color working in the press in Chicago. And she's trying to, number one, draw attention to it. She's trying to say, you guys have got to do better. And I'm in a position to do something about it. Now, her diplomatic way would be to say, oh, I never do anything like that. Please hire some black folks and some brown folks. She said, okay, I'm going to show you better than I can tell you.
You don't hire them. I don't talk to you.
Exactly.
So that's what, yeah. And I think we need to do that. We just have to be ready for the repercussions on the other side. And so Mitch McConnell saying the short time, I have mixed feelings, but we're not getting anything done. So we have to. And so it's just that we can't let them ever have the presidency again. But the thing is that if we don't win the House, I think our democracy is, I'm fearful for how our children and grandchildren will grow up.
Yeah. Well, we will be here to talk about it. We need to wrap up. As Eric Jamal posted, he said, we have to stay plugged in and let's get gangster. That's a great closing word.
That's a good bumper sticker.
You've been tuned into Politics, Prose, and Pop Culture. We're so glad that you joined us. We will be back here next week on Tuesday as we talk whatever's happening, politics, prose, or pop culture.
That's
Victoria
right.
wants to talk filibuster next week, so
yeah,
we'll go
it's 5 minutes. So people, if you have questions about the filibuster and what it means and everything, it won't take me longer than 5 minutes to explain. I'd also like to talk about the voting rights bill and everything that's in it that we really need to have done.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you back here next week.
Bye.